Hi everyone. Well, I'm sat at home at the moment in our nice warm house, probably getting a bit of a beer or a wine later, but I thought while we was here impatiently waiting for the new season to start, I'm going to try and tell you about some experience we've had regarding how we get to the to our boat, the position we've got now. And we're going to concentrate on our eating systems on board, because that's important, because me and Bernadette, comfort is so important for us. And I just think I'll explain things to you how we've got to what we've got. Now, we have fitted out narrowboats ourselves. We've had cruiser style, semi-trad, and we've got traditional now. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about first, because it's going to be broken up into three this. But the first eating system we've got is our stove at the front of the boat. Now, most people have a multi-fuel stove. Now, we've had a multi-fuel stove, a Morso Squirrel, which I think is one of the better ones. You've got to know what you're looking for or what's on board boats, because you can end up forking out loads of money. But it all depends what your budget is. As you get more expensive, you should expect certain things. I would want to know the pedigree of the boat builder, and the quality of what's inside the boat. As you get better boats in the future, as a lot of people do. So it's all to do with budgets. But we've had our multi-fuel. We had that for a while on one of our boats, and we weren't fussy because it was so dusty. It was always getting rid of the ash properly, things like that. Always putting coal on, trying to make it stay consistent overnight, because most of the time it's died down when you get up in the morning. It was all for us. It was all like too much messing about. And the other thing what we didn't like is lugging coal. Oh dear me. You're have to either put coal in the bow or put bags on the roof, and it's not for us. It certainly isn't for us. I mean, we don't live aboard, I think a lot of you know that by now, but all that caper's not for us at all. And the other thing is as well, we never used unseasoned wood, because a lot of people think they can just go and get wood from the canal side, cut it up, throw it on the fire. It actually can be quite dangerous, because it's not seasoned, so the characteristics of it, how it burns, is not good, and it builds up very quickly tar, creosote on the inside of the flue and in the fire, and the flue contracts and can get to a very small hole and then block completely. That's so easy. So we don't use seasoned wood, and people shouldn't, because it can be dangerous. So there was all that what we didn't like. So we decided we will have a diesel stove. Not on this boat. Well, we do have one on this boat, but the first time we had one was our previous boat, on a semi-trad we had. And we had a diesel stove, and we loved it. But what we didn't have properly was the tank, separate tank. We had a small one, and it wasn't really big enough for us. That was always an issue for us, because we was topping it up too much. On this one, we decided we want a giant tank at the front, and we could get 3 months solid off one tank, just burning 24 hours a day diesel. And it's all by gravity, simplicity. Some people have a fire and they have a pipe coming from the back where the other tank is, and they'll have a pump or something and pump it to it. We didn't want that. We wanted just a simple gravity fed supply, just comes to the fire, nothing difficult. It just has a non-return valve, on it, and that just stops anything siphoning back or going back, and that's it. Now the fire itself, it's got all the safety valves on. It's got everything there what you need to keep everything safe. If something went wrong, it would cut off, so that's all nice to know as well. It's very, very clean. I use a little piece of metal to keep the little hole clear of all the hardened bits of, it's like carbon, it goes a bit hard. But I always just prod that every couple of weeks just to keep it clear so the diesel flows through nicely. That's all I do. There's hardly any dirt or anything in the fire. You know, we have a proper flexible 5-inch flue brush, and if we clean it, there's hardly anything in it, hardly at all. But it's a proper brush, and that's important. Don't, for the price of a proper flue brush, don't try and make one and try to adapt. Just buy one that a tenner or something like that, and it keeps it clear, and it's really easy to do. So nice and clean, 3 months supply of diesel can stay on. Consistent heat, that's the other thing. Once we've settled it all down, that's the heat we will have. We don't have to open side hatches or doors. That's something else. You see some people, they've backed up the fire so much, it's so hot, it can be freezing cold, waste energy. Let's open all the side hatches and the front doors to keep a nice temperature. That's just wasting heat. You know, we don't have to do that. We just do a nice balance, because we've got controls. We've got the one on the left, which is a safety valve, what you press down, and it's got to sense heat first to keep the valve open to let the diesel in. And then there's one on the right hand side, and that's what you adjust the height with to what is what suits yourself. We wouldn't be any different now. We would always have a diesel stove. It's clean, it's consistent, and we don't have to go looking for coal or anything like that. It's just get the diesel pump, oh, I've got 3 months of diesel there. We don't do it like that. We always top it up. We're always topping it up. We don't leave it for 3 months, but we can, you know, we can occasionally do it, and then that's it. So that's our fire, or our stove. The other thing is as well, be careful about when you're looking at stoves. Be careful about them poor quality ones. You know, what are made in China and cost nothing, and they might be, some of them might be too big. You know, 5-6 kilowatts, fine. You know, 5 kilowatt, 60 foot, 62 foot. Don't get a 12 kilowatt and try to sort that out, because that's not good out like that. Balance it up for your for the boat you have. Anyway, that's the stove done. We thought, well, that's one. So we were thinking about the central heating. Now, our central heating, what we wanted, we didn't want, and we have our reasons, because over the years you find out things and you speak to friends and all that. We don't want, or we definitely did not want, one of these diesel heaters what go in the engine bay and all that. You know, the Everspackers, Makunis, Webasto's. Didn't want one of them for various things. You know, there's various things. I don't like the noise for a start. I mean, if you're near to a boat and it's not properly silenced and all that, some of these are like tanks outside. They're unbelievable. But it's people's choices. But we don't want it. And I wanted something what was less maintenance, more reliable, uses less energy, and importantly for us, it had a very, very low amperage, low voltage pump on. So what we decide? Well, we decided on an older ALDE. I used to say oldie, but they say it's pronounced older. Comfort boiler. I think it's the 3010. I think it's been upgraded recently to 3020, but it's similar. And that's an LPG one. Now, my background's in the gas industry. for many years before I went down another path in the industry and on my promotional path, I used to work a lot with gas, LPG, natural gas, and I used to install heating systems. I know about flues and all that, so I wanted something what I was comfortable with. So we got the boiler, we fitted it under the bed. You can't fit a gas boiler in the engine room because LPG, the gas stays at low level, and there's all sorts of electrics in a engine room. So we didn't, you can't have it there, but we fitted it under the bed. Now we have gas sensors underneath in the bilge, and we have detectors on the walls and everything, so we're covered for out like that. But it's so simple to use. I can do anything with it. I can repair it. I know it's Blue Flame technology, which is, you know, this is the latest thing where the diesel heaters, apart from one, which I'll show you at the end of the video, or I'll give you a link to it, they don't have Blue Flame technology. So if it's got yellowy flames and all that, they will soot up and they need a lot of maintenance, and they've got to be cleaned regularly. But this doesn't. Because of Blue Flame technology, it's very, very clean burning. So quiet, and so low energy, you don't know it's on. And it's also, besides that, it's got a electric element inside as well. So if you want a quick burst of electric to give you just 3 or 4 pints of hot water in no time, you can just switch this on. Preferably when you're now plugged into a landline in the marina, but it's so quick and handy if you need it urgently. The other thing as well, it has a really nice programmer. You know, that's where you just for switching it on and off, and we've got that in the galley. Nice flat one, it's not a bulky one what sticks out or anything, and it looks quite smart. And away we go. Switch on. We've got radiators, and the other thing, the radiators. Now we have a traditional looking boat. We don't want ours look like the inside of a house or anything like that, or we don't want any white. We didn't want white on the walls or anything like that. We wanted it traditional, just like we've got all the traditional portholes as well, the solid brass portholes. It's a traditional boat ours, so it can be different than a lot of others. But I didn't want to sit there looking at white radiators, black radiators or anything. So we got them covered to match the rest of the boat, and it flows very nicely. They've got like a piece on the front what's got holes in, which lets the heat come through amply, but it looks right for the boat. The only place where we haven't got covers is on the towel rail in the bathroom. But we like the finish we've got, because it's, like I say, it's a traditional looking boat, and we like the traditional finishes. So that gives us our central heating. We use it probably when we come to the boat and it's cold. Switch that on straight away, and we let it nice and warm while we're getting everything ready, getting the fire on and all that. We can get the central heating on. That's when we mostly use it, because once the fire's up and running, we don't need the heating on. So that's our second one, our second heating system. But then we thought, I've been doing a bit of research and I came across something what I think is brilliant, and that's an older engine heat exchanger. Now it's about that big and about that wide. It looks like a silver piece with 4 connections on, and inside there is the piece what quickly takes heat from one side to the other. Doesn't mix, the water doesn't mix or anything. It's a separate system, but the heat exchanger is what it is. It transfers heat. What do I do? Well, the calorifier, it has a twin coil. One is from the central heating boiler and one's from the engine. Now the engine gets really hot, and so does the water going to the clarifier. Absolutely mad up. So what you do is, and I've fitted it in place, I branch into the pipes going to the clarifier from the engine. So I connect up on one side and I put a little balancing valve on so I can make certain the water's moving in the right way for the cylinder and this heat exchanger. So I fit that in place, and that's done. And then on the other side there's two more connections, and I branch into the central heating circuit. Now remember, these never mix, it's only heat transfer. So I've branched into that, and that's all connected up. Now all that happens then is, when we want to use it, it works when the boat's going along. So what we do, we turn our fire off. We don't need the central heating boiler on. All we do is turn the low voltage pump on, which is attached to the boiler, and we just start going. And very quickly that hot water circuit gets very hot and transfers the heat to the radiators, and within 15 minutes we've got pulsing hot radiators for free. How good's that? Without using anything. So we can trundle along and the boat stays nice and hot for nothing while we're going along. The other aspect of it, which is a great idea, many people when they go on rivers, now some people it can cope, other ones, for example the thermostat, engine might be a bit small, thermostat might not be brilliant on it, and water can come through as the engine's revving along as it's getting hot, and it gets too hot, thermostat gives up, you get water everywhere. This stops it, because all you need to do when you're on rivers, again, just turn your pump on, and that heat, what's getting hotter and hotter on them circuits to the cylinder because your engine's working hard, that heat transfers into your radiators. So it shears the heat, the cold radiator water, and then that heats the water up. So it's shearing the heat more, and it cools the engine down. So it's great for rivers if you're really having to, you know, you're against the tide and going along and all that. Works brilliantly. So that's another plus. So the Holder heat exchanger, that's the one what we'd recommend. Something what's free, why not? The other thing we have, just before we finish, or before I finish, we have the clarifier, but it's not a round one. It's round, it's domed and flat on the bottom. I won't go into the detail, but it's a certain type of heat exchanger to complement an older boiler. But on there we have the 1 kilowatt immersion heater as well, and that's used on the landline. So you know, when we're in the marina, we just turn the immersion on basically for hot water. So they're our systems. For me and Bernadette, that is the perfect heating system for us. We've got the diesel stove, the highly efficient and quiet and reliable LPG older boiler, and we've got the older heat exchanger, and we've got the immersion. Everything we want. So that's what we've picked over the years. Now that has a burr in that. If you ever go looking at a boat, these are all the type of things you've got to look at. If you've got a decent budget, you would expect more than a fire. You would expect other things, and that's the type of things you need to look for. And I'll go into that in more detail in another future vlog. So that's covered. Like I say, at the end of this video, I'll just put the links, you know, the websites for a couple of other boilers. The stoves, like I said, our 2 Deka boilers, they're hard to get hold of, but at the end I'll show you other versions for you, so you can still get decent diesel stoves, and I'll show you 2 cracking boilers, diesel boilers, very high efficiency, and one of them's got blue flame technology as well. bit more expensive, but I'll tell you, within 2 years, cheaper than the Eberspacher or the Mikuni or whatever. He'd be cheaper running. So I hope you found that handy, whether you're a boater or not, because you know, there's so many different people who watch now, and we'll talk randomly about some other subject regarding the boat in the future. But for now, I think that's it. I think evening's drawing in, so I think it's tonight. I think we'll just have a glass of wine tonight with our meal, and that'll do. Right, getting really impatient for summer. Can't wait. But I'll have to leave you now and get on with something else. So we'll see you very soon. Ta-ra!